Hey there, and welcome to lesson one of three. By the way, my name is John Pagulayan. I'm the founder of the Freelance Movement, and welcome to the first video of this free three-part series. And in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about why your skills, experience, and portfolio has nothing or little to do with your ability to have a sought-after, highly paid, stress-free freelancing business. Now, you see, there's this belief that most freelancers have. They believe that you have the right skill, you're gonna get the right pay. In fact, madalas mo maririnig, kapag programmer, malaki kita. Kapag web developer, malaki bigayan. Kapag madaming skills, nako, tiba-tiba per hour yan. And for some freelancers, it goes even deeper. They think that if I just got really good at what I do, clients will notice. Iba naman iniisip, if I learn more skills and work harder, eventually, I'll get paid what I deserve. Now, it kind of makes sense nga naman, di ba? But here's the thing, the reality is different. Here, let me prove this to you. Okay, so this is Charlie, by the way, right? So Charlie, he is a video animator. Animation ang skill niya. Now, if you're gonna see, right, if you're gonna see here, Charlie was charging $20,000 for his single video project. That's about 1 million pesos or more than 1 million pesos for a single video project. In fact, to be more specific, it's a 90-second animation video. So that's Charlie, right? But if you search in Upwork, makikita mo mga rates ng ibang video animators, you're gonna see it's only $5 per hour, $10 per hour, and $8 per hour. Diba? So as you can see, it's not really the skills that matters a lot, especially when it comes to charging premium fees. Now, here's another one from si Charlene naman. Now, Charlene is, she has an agency, and then ang offer naman niya is more on chatbot messengers. Okay, so messenger marketing. Sabi niya, how I went from charging $997 to $45,000 per month in my agency. Okay, but if you take a look and go to Upwork and look for chatbot messengers, right? You're gonna see that most of them, some are charging $40 per hour, $5 per hour, or 19 and a half, right, dollars per hour. Now, here's another example. Now, this one is from Johannes, and sabi niya dito, celebrating 1 month inside the tribe. By the way, the tribe is one of our paid programs, and landed my first premium client. Binayaran siya ng 2,100 Australian dollars, and binayad sa kanya yan for video editing. Now, mataas ba talaga ang bayad for video editing? If you go into Upwork, you're gonna see that it's not really the case, di ba? Majority are charging $5 per hour, $8 per hour, or $6 per hour. Di ba? How come the majority of video editors are not like Hanish and they're only charging this? So my question is this, right? If it's the skill or service that makes up your fees, how come there's such a huge discrepancy? Right? Again, this isn't to mock people who are charging $3 or $10 per hour for their service. That's not the point. I just want to prove that the skill alone doesn't dictate the fees that you can charge. Ulitin ko lang, the skill or service alone doesn't dictate the fees that you can actually charge. Now, once you understand this concept, you'll be able to charge higher fees even if you're just a newbie. Just like, for example, si Den. Sabi niya dito, she's a newbie, by the way. Sabi niya, show up with an empty cup. Sabi niya, when I joined the tribe, again, tribe is one of our paid programs. Sabi niya, I really told myself that I will let go of everything that I know about freelancing. And then guess what? Without a single clue about the service that she's offering, which is email marketing, I pitched my service, closed my first deal at $4,000. Okay, I'm not sure how much that is, but it's more than 200,000 pesos, right? And I was shocked, and up to now, this company is still my client. So the question is, what's really going on? Why is it that two freelancers with the exact same skill, one is charging premium rates kahit wala pang experience, while the other is stuck doing $300 logos or $3 per hour the gigs? Now, you see, here's what we have seen for the past couple of years. The world has changed. Ang problema, most freelancers haven't noticed. When I say change, I'm talking about there was a time when skills and experience were the most important things that a client will look for. In fact, the longer you were in the game, the more skilled you are, the more likely that you'd win projects, the more likely you get referrals, the more likely you're going to earn more. But that world is now gone. In fact, learning the skill is now the easy part. Today, thanks to AI and tools like ChatGPT, anyone can learn a freelancing skill in a few days or even hours. Free tools like AI-powered Canva templates, or uh, there are other AI-powered tools as well that makes it easy to create, professional-looking work in minutes. In fact, if you go to YouTube or TikTok, they are now flooded with how-to content that's so easy to just go there and look for the skill that you're trying to learn. There are also AI tools, learning tools that compresses years of learning into just mere days, like Jasper, Notion, uh, 11 Labs. Like there's a lot, really. Kumbaga, what I'm trying to say is, dati, ang hirap matuto ng freelancing skills. Mahirap matuto ng skills. Kailangan mong bumili ng course, kailangan mo magkaroon ng mentor, kailangan mo ng oras, kailangan mo ng pera. Pero ngayon, with the right guidance, you can actually learn almost any skill that clients will pay for thanks to AI. In fact, you can go from, you know, I don't know anything about website creation to creating your first website in one afternoon with AI guiding you step by step. Now, I should know. We should know this because we have a training inside our paid program where we show our members how to create a learning plan using AI. So even if they're starting from scratch, they can literally learn a freelancing skill in a weekend and be proficient at it in less than a month. Which brings us to another hard truth. Experience is no longer what it used to be. In fact, it's becoming harder and harder to define what experience even means. Even when every 3 months, every quarter, something new comes out and changes the rules. Kumbaga, I hope, I think you notice din naman, diba? Almost every quarter, every 3 months, AI tools evolve, the platforms, diba? They will roll out new features and they will kill old ones overnight. In fact, if you're doing Facebook ads, there are changes on the Facebook ad platform like almost every single month. Okay. So a question is, if everything keeps changing, then no one is really experienced. Do you guys realize that? At least not in the way that we used to think about it. And if everyone has to keep relearning anyway, then what matters more is no longer your experience or your skill. What matters more is your ability to adapt fast and communicate your value clearly. So now the question is no longer how skilled are you or even how long have you been doing this. The new questions are, do you understand the client's problem? Can you communicate your value clearly? And can you show, right? Can you show clients how working with you leads to results? And I'm asking you these, I'm giving you these questions because if you can't answer that, then no amount of skill or experience will save you. Because like I said, times are changing. Kung dati ang hanap is credentials, nowadays, iba na. Okay? Right now, freelancers, sabi nga sa Investopedia, just this June, freelancers thriving today, they understand something crucial. It's not about having the best skills. It's about communicating value in ways that resonate with specific client psychology. In fact, even Upwork's own data, ating sabi, clear communication and expectation setting as top hiring factors, more than technical skill. Upwork na mismo to, their own data on client satisfaction. And even Forbes would say top freelancers aren't always the most skilled. They're the ones who solve problems, communicate confidently, and build trusted relationships. And I agree. In this new world, the freelancer who wins is not the one with the longest resume, but the one who can say clearly and confidently, I help people like you get what you want. Here's how I can help. And if you really think about it, tama nga naman. When everyone has the same skills and experience, who stands out? Diba? Especially if you go to platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, yung mga pinag-a-applyan ng mga freelancers dati. Pag pumunta ka doon, they are filled with freelancers offering the same skills and services. So if pare-parehas kayo, who stands out? Definitely not the one with the best logo, not the one with the most certificates, The one who stands out and gets picked is the one who made the client feel, ito, ito yung kailangan ko. And that's a simple truth. And, and that's the shift most freelancers and aspiring freelancers have to make in this day and age. So the question is, how do you do just that? Well, first, let's define what freelancing is para alam naman natin kung ano yung pinag-uusapan natin, di ba? So basically, what is freelancing? Well, freelancing is providing services as a self-employed individual. So as a freelancer, you work with different companies independently anywhere in the world. You don't need to report daily or be time tracked kasi nga hindi ka naman employed, right? You can work at your own pace as long as you meet the deadline or the output you promised. You don't have to apply for jobs. You get clients to work with instead, and you are the business owner. Another thing that you do is you get to set your own price and rates. Okay? And as a freelancer, you hindi lang siya VA. Okay? Hindi ko minamalit yung mga VA, but we have to be clear about it, right? As a freelancer, you're not just a VA. You can be a social media manager, an accountant, an email copywriter, Facebook ads, community manager, marketing manager, website developer, product designer, branding strategist, lead gen, article writer, SEO, VA, AdWords, attention specialist, copywriter, web design, chatbot, and a whole lot more. Okay? Ang daming pwedeng maging ikaw, hindi lang VA. Okay? Now that we've defined what a freelancer is, now, di ba, lagi kong sinasabi to, premium freelancer. Ano nga man ngayon yung premium freelancer? Like, for most people, when they hear premium freelancers, they automatically think of a freelancer that's able to charge thousands of dollars each and every month. They think it's a freelancer who can make 6 to 7 figures a month, and so to some extent, they would be right. Okay, but here's the truth that most people miss. Being a freelancer isn't just about the income. It's much more than that. A premium freelancer is someone who can also choose who they want to work with. Okay, they only work with clients who allow them to be trusted partners and not just task takers. Yung hindi lang sila inuutusan. Okay, a premium freelancer is someone who is in control of their time, and the clients that they work with respects their time. And number three, a premium freelancer is someone who gets hired not because they're the cheapest. Okay, they get hired because they understood what the client cares about. In short, they don't need a wall of testimonials. They don't measure their worth by how many skills they've learned or how many skills they've stacked, because a premium freelancer is more focused with the outcome that they bring to clients. Their main concern is how to help clients. That's what a premium freelancer is. Now, let's talk about the old way of doing things and the new way of doing freelancing. Okay. So now that you know what the premium freelancing is, let's talk about the shift you need to make to become one. Okay. Because if you're still doing things the old way, you always be treated like a commodity. Now, the old way looks like this, okay? The old and hard way, so basically you create a profile as Upwork or other sites. You're gonna wait for a job post. And then when you see a job post, you're gonna apply by writing a kick-ass cover letter, whatever that is. And then, syempre, hindi lang naman ikaw nag-apply. You're gonna compete with 73 strangers on a $5 per hour na gig. Tapos dahil marami kang kalaban, you're gonna drop your rate para mapansin. And then you're gonna do this almost every time to build a ton of experience kasi iniisip mo the only way you can get, you can charge more than $5 is if you get experience. And then you do it so much that you become top rated. And when you're top rated, you learn new skills para hindi ka ma-obsolete, and then you do it all over again. So basically, that's the old way. Now, the problem with this one is that not only is it a lot of work, but you're not in control, right? You're waiting to be picked. You're letting platforms and job boards dictate your fate. Kumbaga, you're hoping someone finds you instead of becoming someone na hinahanap mismo ng clients. Sabi ko nga in one of our workshops that that's not freelancing. That's digital employment without the benefits. So, para sa akin kasi, I like the new way because the new way is much simpler. So basically, the new way is you simply connect with the market you want to work with, find out about their problem, communicate how you can help, and then get paid for it. That's the new way. You don't need experience, you don't need portfolio, you don't need a whole lot of skills. Just these steps. take this for as an example. So see, this one is testimonial from one of my, from one of our members in one of our paid programs, si Marvin. Okay. Now, so babasahin ko lang yung sulat niya dito. Sabi niya dito, "Hey guys, Marvin here. Just want to stop by and share to you the results from following John's tips and tricks." Okay. So sabi niya dito, uh, I was able to close a deal worth 3,494 with an ongoing 997 per month na retainer. Okay. So paano niya ginawa? Okay. Sabi niya, napakasimple lang ng action step na ginawa ko. I barely followed what John said to connect with people in specific groups. Nag-connect siya. And then find out kung anong problem nila. Okay? Dive deep to their struggle. I then volunteered to check that, their funnels and create a 15-minute analysis, okay, to help yung market niya. That's the only thing that he did. And sabi niya dito, totoo nga, hindi man lang naghanap ng portfolio whatsoever. Up until now, wala pa ako nasasend na password or anything. Naisip ko nga, paano kung scammer lang ako at chika-chika lang lahat ng sinabi ko? Diba? So, now, some would read that and go, what? Yun lang? Yun lang yun? Now, I can't blame you if that's your reaction because back when I was starting out, in my head, okay, in my head, I should master 10 different tools. I should build a website. I should have years of client results under my belt in able to be able, for me to be able to charge these types of fees, yung mga $3,000 pataas. In my head, there should be more that I'm doing. Well, turns out there is more. Okay, there is more, but not the things most of us freelancers would, think we need. In fact, what I mentioned above, yung website, yung portfolio, yung experience, those are the least important factors of having a sought after, highly paid, stress-free freelancing business. Because if you really take a look at the case study above, okay, inom lang akong tubig saglit. Yeah, if you really take a look at this case study above, he only did three important things. So number one that he did is he connected with the market that he wanted to work with. Pangalawa, he figured out their actual problems para matulungan. And then, he communicated his value well. Hindi nga lang niya sinabi through words, sinabi niya through action. And only then did he offer his service. Okay, simple lang, di ba? Now, which is why before you try and find, okay, your next or first client, you should have, ito lang, sabihin ko para sa mga bago, you should have a deep insight into these three things. Okay? Let me find it. Ala, yeah. Get insight into these three things. Number one, the ideal client. Okay? The problem that your market or client have, and you should have an insight into the value of your service. And if you have an insight into these three things, let me tell you right now, closing clients at the premium rate won't be such a problem whether you have the skill or experience like what our members have experienced. Like for example, ito, si Travis. Sabi niya, got paid $1,229 for writing one sentence. Kasi ginawa lang niya is tagline. So he's paid 1,229 for a tagline. Okay, sabi niya dito, I was able to close it, no application, no portfolio, no certifications, and none of those extra credentials people think you need. Diba? Was able to do that. One sentence, paid $1,000, walang mga cheche boleche. Here's another one from Crystal. Sabi niya, signed my first premium client just a month after joining the tribe. Again, the tribe is one of our paid programs. No portfolio, no experience, just value. She was paid $1,400 nang walang experience and walang portfolio. And here's another one from Lynn. Sabi ni Lynn, dear tribe, this is my first time to post here. Just closed a $3,000 project with 5% commission. Okay, as you can see, you can also ask for commission. So $3,000 project with 5% commission. Yeah, no experience, again, no experience, no portfolio. Okay, so again, all you have to do is to have insight into these three things. So, para mas maliwanag, let's talk about each one of them. Okay, let's start with the first one, the ideal client or market. So, why do you need to have insight on who your ideal client is or market is? Like sabi nga ni Marvin kanina, Marvin didn't spam random people. Okay, what he did was he intentionally went into groups where his kinds of clients were already spending time. Kumbaga, that shows that he knew who his offer was for and how to find them. Which is why in the majority of the workshops that we do, I always emphasize the importance of having a specific market. Bakit? Well, this is one of the reasons why. Because if you don't have clarity, okay, if you don't have clarity on who you want as a client or as a market, it's gonna be 100 times harder for you to get clients. Let me give you an example, right? So, imagine na ipaglaro ka ng taguan, okay? Pero, there's a catch. Ipaglaro ka ng taguan, pero hindi mo kilala yung mga kalaro mo. Ang tanong, mananalo ka ba? Mahirap, di ba? Paano mo sila mahuhuli kung hindi mo nga alam kung paano sila, kung sino yung huhulihin mo? Di ba? Hindi mo kilala kung sino yung mga kalaro mo. So that's exactly what, what how this feels like. You wouldn't know who to look for, let alone where to find them. The same thing goes for freelancing. If you're not clear on who you're trying to help, then everything else becomes guesswork. You won't know where to show up, you won't know what to say, and you definitely won't know what problems to solve kasi hindi mo nga kilala kung sino yung market mo. And this is why, again, clarity on your market is the very first step. Okay? Kung bago ka, this is gonna be your very first step. Not skills, huli yung skills, especially if bago ka pa lang. Because once you know who you're helping, that is when you can begin to understand what they truly need. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now the second, okay, the thing that the next thing that you're gonna have, insight on is the problem that they have, right? So pumili ka ng market and then you're gonna find out what problems that market actually has. In fact, diba, if you're gonna notice, Marvin didn't pitch, immediately, right? He first observed and uncovered kung anong struggle nung gusto niyang maging market. And what that allowed him is to tailor his service exactly to what mattered to the client. So this is one of the reasons why it helps if there's a specific market, 'di ba? To find out kasi madaling malaman yung problema if alam mo na kung sino yung gusto mong i-serve na market. And it's hard to sell simply by waving around the expertise and portfolio in our clients' faces. Hindi naman siya gumagana ng ganun. Hindi porket marami ka ng portfolio, hindi porket matagal na experience mo, clients will come and find you. That's not how the world works. That's not how freelancing works. Okay? We first have to know, okay, we first have to know what their actual problem is. That's the first thing. After all, how can we help if we don't even know what they need help with? Ulitin ko lang, how can we help the client? I mean, that's what we're being paid for, di ba? To help the client. How can we help if we don't even know what they need help with? What's their problem? Now, I want you to imagine this. Imagine going to a car mechanic. Okay? Papamekaniko ka ng kotse mo. And instead of a mechanic asking you, tanungin ka like, anong problema ng kotse mo? Instead of that, ang pinakita niya sa'yo, yung certificate niya galing ng TESDA, testimonials ng mga customer niya, yung 5-star review, and even showed you yung registration ng business para alam mo kung gaano na sila katagal. Or imagine going to the doctor. Doktor, pero pagdating mo sa loob, instead ay tanong niya kung anong problema, pinakita niya sa'yo na pumasa siya sa exam, mga pictures ng nagamot niya, and yung license niya as a doctor. If that happened to you, what would be your reaction? Malamang, di ba, mapapaisip ka, okay, cool credentials, but anong gagawin mo sa problema ko? Now, it sounds like I'm joking, but most freelancers, they do this every single time. In fact, I remember posting in one of the groups. I remember posting. I was looking for a web designer. The budget back then was $2,000. It was for a client of mine. They were looking for a web designer. They gave me a $2,000 budget, and I was looking for one. So sabi ko, looking for a web designer, email me. I posted this inside the Facebook group. Again. So I said, I'm looking for someone who knows how to do web dev and design. Contact me via email. And here's the thing, I got 4 emails and all of them were like this. Hi John, my name's Mark. I'm an expert on C++, WordPress, WooCommerce with over 10 years of experience in Dota and ML. My rate is only 4,000 per page and 10,000 for every 3 pages. I got four emails with the same tone, same message and everything. Like inuna talaga nila yung kung anong meron sila. 'Di ba? Tulad nga sinabi ko kanina, hindi ka naman pupunta ng doktor, tapos pagpunta mo ng doktor, iwawagay-iwan niya sa yung yung experience nila. Walang ganun. But somehow for freelancers, that seems the normal thing to do. ang nakakalungkot pa nito, okay? Ang nakakalungkot pa nito, isipin mo na lang $2,000 yung budget ko na binigay sa akin ng client and you're only charging me 4,000 per page. 'Di ba? Imbes na kumita ka ng malaki, you shot yourself in the foot by letting me know na and by undercharging para ikaw yung kunin ko. Now, ang nakakalungkot nun, may lahat sila nag-send ng ganun, but no one even bothered to ask bakit, anong problema, ano bang may tutulong ko. Nobody even bothered to ask what the website is for. Wala man yung tanong, para saan ba sir yung website? Before even quoting me all these things. In fact, I think that's the biggest reason why most freelancers can charge premium fees. Because majority of freelancers, aminin man natin o hindi, they don't even know, okay? They don't even know their value. They don't know how huge of a problem they are solving for their clients. Majority of us, we only care about showing off our skills para lang may pagmayabang tayo na skill. And this is a problem. Sa totoo lang, this is a huge problem. Because if there's one thing I've discovered freelancing for more than a decade, been freelancing since 2012. So technically, that makes me like 13 years into this. Here's what I found out. The bigger the problem, the bigger the fees that you can charge. So technically, if uunahin mo yung portfolio mo, yung credentials mo, yung skills mo, you're literally waiving your right to charge higher fees. Let me repeat that. If bigger problem, the bigger the fees that you can charge. So if you're not gonna talk about the problem, unahin mo yung skill mo, yung portfolio mo, yung credentials mo, you're literally waiving your right to charge higher fees. Remember that. Okay? Now, on to the next one. So number 3 is the value of your service. You need to have insight on the value of your service. Okay? For Marvin, instead of just saying, I do funnels and ads, which is technically what he does, he communicated his value instead, di ba? He communicated his value without telling them na ito yung ginagawa ko. And then the client saw that and, you know, thought na, oh, this guy gets me. He knows my problem. He knows how to fix it. So, what happened? Well, sabi nga ni Marvin, di ba? Totoo nga, hindi man lang naghanap ng portfolio. No, when he was able to communicate his value, hindi na naghanap ng proof yung client. Which proves that the client didn't care about credentials. When they saw value and clarity dun sa ginagawa na ano, like ito yung kayang itulong sa akin ito ni Marvin, they didn't even ask for anything. Okay? Now, the problem is, it's hard to communicate value if, or one's value, whether through words or actions, if you don't know how valuable your service is in the first place. Diba? In fact, this is one of the things I talked about in one of the recent workshops, and I cannot stress this enough. Okay, what we do, okay, has very little meaning to the client compared to the value and the results we can help them achieve. As Dale Carnegie once said, dito, the secret to succeeding in business is actually the same as it was 100 years ago. Okay, it's the same. It never changes. Find out what people want and give it to them. That's exactly it. Now, simple, di ba? Now, yet, ito yung problema. There will still be folks who will read this far or go this far into this video and think, well, di ba dapat maging magaling ka? Don't you need to be really good at what you do to be able to charge, premium? Well, I hope you're ready for the truth because the truth is no. Again, I'm just trying to be honest, okay? If you really think about it, okay, I want you to think about it. Freelancers have the ability, okay, to get paid first before even doing the work. We are hired before the client even witnesses a single shred of what we do. So the question is, how do you expect them to judge your fees based on something they have no idea about? Diba? Are you telling me, right? Are you telling me that they're judging how much you are worth based on something they haven't even seen yet? Diba? If they don't see your work yet, they haven't seen your work yet, how do you think they're judging you? Like I said, it's not about your skill. It frankly never was. Then again, this doesn't mean you should be charging tens of thousands of dollars if you have no plans of helping your client. That's not the point. I'm telling you this assuming you're not a scammer and only want what's best for your clients. Like Marvin said last time, di ba? Pag napunta sa masamang kamay ito, alams na kaya gamitin to sa tama. All I'm pointing out is the absurd excuse that I'm not skilled enough yet as the reason why they're not having any success getting clients. I know and they know that's bullshit because their real problem, okay, is that they don't know how to communicate their value. Let me give you an example. Take someone who sells chatbots as a service. Okay? Ito yung freelance service siya. Hindi siya VA, hindi siya social media, hindi siya messenger chatbot ang binibenta niya service. Okay? Now, here's the truth. Most business owners, most prospects don't even know what a messenger chatbot is. Okay? That's the truth. Now, a struggling freelancer would sell this way. Sabihin niya, messenger chatbots are awesome, bili ka na sir. They're gonna tell them it's 100 times better than anything else and how it's the next best thing since sliced bread. Ang problema, walang bibili kasi, well, una-una, di nga alam ng, no, ano, di nga alam ng mga business owners what a messenger chatbot is. Now, the mediocre freelancers, yung mga, minsan may client, minsan wala, ganito sila. Instead of doing this, ito yung gagawin nila. They would either show their case studies, show portfolio, and show testimonials. Those are the things they rely on to close clients. Okay. The problem is this doesn't really work that well in real life. Okay? Sa panaginip natin, gumagana siya 100%. But in real life, even if you show them tons of case studies or portfolio or testimonials, it doesn't work like that. Yes, gusto kitang maging, yes, kukunin kita. It doesn't work like that. Okay? However, a premium freelancer, instead of hyping up the service, instead of relying on case studies, portfolio, and testimonials, they will lead with the message. Okay? They will leave in a message. They would say, how'd you like to get sales and increase on your Facebook fan page while you sleep? They're still selling the same service, okay? Chatbot messenger, but now they're presenting it in a way that speaks to what the client actually wants, not what the freelancer wants to show off. Now, let me give you another example. If you're a YouTube vlogger and you have two freelancers in front of you, right? Freelancer A says, I've been doing YouTube ads for businesses for 5 years now. Or freelancer B, I help YouTube vloggers get more fans and subscribers by increasing their video views by at least 20 to up to 70% within the next 6 months. Kahit nga tumigil na lang dun sa get more fans and subscribers by increasing their video views, pwede na eh. Okay? I'm pretty sure you're gonna choose freelancer B. How about this example? If you're a course creator and you're trying to hire someone who a website designer, pipiliin mo ba yung A, I'm a proficient website designer for 10 years, or freelancer B, website designer din naman siya, but yung offer niya, I will help course creators enroll more students in their programs using conversion-focused design for their websites. Now, kung matino kang tao, kung normal kang tao, there's a very good chance you've chosen freelancer B in every instance. Okay? But if you'll notice, among the examples, only freelancer A has the experience. Napansin niyo ba yun? Like, only freelancer A has the experience. But chances are, you did not even notice their experience. Or, you noticed their experience, but you didn't even care. Because, ito yung gusto kong sabihin. Because once the value is clearly communicated, experience and skills takes a backseat. Hindi mo sila mapapansin if the value is clearly communicated to the client. Now, unsurprisingly, those who are very skill-oriented o yung mga focus talaga sa skill, they are still stuck trying to find that magic bullet. But for those who realize that the secret is being able to communicate one's value, this is what would happen. So this is a message from Romer, one of our members inside the paid program. Sabi niya dito, sinend sa kanya ng client niya to. Okay, so yung client niya, kung na-close niya yung client niya, sabi ng client niya sa post, just like that, the universe sends you exactly who you need. Romer, thank you and God bless. Sabi niya, post ng client bro, sabi niya dito, problem, solution, business. So again, this is a client thanking the freelancer for the proposal that he sent that's worth more than $1,000. Now, let me ask you, can you imagine a client thanking you when you just charge them a premium for a service which they could have gotten cheap for another freelancer? Can you imagine a client doing that when they could have gotten a cheaper service from another freelancer? Diba? You see, it's different, okay? It's different when you're solving a need versus, versus when you're just selling a service. Sabi nga ni client dito, problem, right? Solution, business. You focus first on the problem so that you'll be able to communicate your value. Okay? It's different when you're solving a need versus just selling a service. Okay? The clients themselves, okay, when you do solve a need first before selling a service, the clients themselves will justify your high fees. Now, some people will only see what's on the surface and think, ano kaya yung service niya to charge that high? If that's your question, I'm afraid that you missed the point of this entire video. Because the point is to stop focusing on what we can get, but rather on what we can give. Because if there's anything I've found to be true in freelancing, it's this one. Our income as freelancers is determined by how many people we serve and how well we serve them. I got this quote from Bob Berg from The Go Giver, one of my favorite books. Now, for those asking, do I need to have decades of experience to make this work? Well, based on what I just showed you from this video alone, I think we already know the answer to that question, diba? You've seen me, give you several examples of that already. But for those who are asking, what if I don't have any skills or service to offer? Now, this one is a good question because while yes, you can get clients without it, it doesn't mean na hindi mo na kailangan ng skills, okay? Pang scam naman yan. After all, you are being paid in exchange for a service. To answer that question, you have three options, okay? Kung wala kang skill, you have three options. Now, the first one, okay, is to learn first. Okay, when I say learn it first, I don't mean binge watching 87 tutorials and waiting 6 months before taking action. Okay, because the truth is, you're never gonna feel ready when things, with the things are changing so rapidly right now. What you've learned today might get replaced in 3 months or the next 6 months. So if you're waiting to master a skill before putting yourself out there, there's a very good chance you'll never start. So that's why, okay, the goal isn't to learn everything. The goal is to learn only 20% of the information that will yield 80% of the results. And then you learn the rest as you go. In fact, inside our community, like I said, we teach a simple method where you can use AI to create a personalized learning plan so you can go from zero to service ready in under a weekend. Because the truth of the matter is, you don't need to know it all. You just need to know enough to help because clients don't pay you for knowing everything. Okay? They pay you for making something easier, faster, and better than they could have done on their own. And that's it. Okay. So again, that's option one, learning it first. And the second one is to get a client first, then learn it on the fly. We call it learning by doing. Okay. Inside the tribe, we call it learning by doing. Now, John, hindi ba mahirap yon? Di ba baka magalit yung client, di ba, if you're learning by doing? Well, not really. Okay? In fact, you may even have done this yourself. Think back when you applied for your first job. Okay? You probably didn't know exactly what you'd be doing sa first job mo, but I'm pretty sure you didn't wait to master the tools, di ba? Basically, you just applied there, you showed up, and you hope that they give you a shot and figure it out as you went. Diba? This is basically just the same thing. Yeah, you're not pretending to know everything. You're not faking anything. You're just committing to solve a problem and being honest about where you are. In fact, here's what most freelancers don't realize. Learning by doing is the fastest and most powerful way to get skilled. Because when you're solving a real problem for a real person and you're doing it real time, you learn faster, you pay attention better, and you remember longer because you get to apply what you've learned right away. In fact, we have multiple members inside our paid community who did exactly this. Like, for example, si Michael, sabi niya, just want to help prove the power of the JTL proposal. Just landed my dream deal this morning. I have zero knowledge of YouTube ads, but the proposal helped seal the deal. In his words, I can tell you spent a great amount preparing the proposal and appreciate that. Judging by the way it looks, you left me with no other choice but to say yes. Now, I worked on the proposal most of the day yesterday and I felt very proud upon hearing those words. I was actually smiling on the phone. There's a couple of things I think I did right in this proposal. And yung sabi ni Michael, okay? Um, and then Michael was able to close a deal of $3,000 for the setup, $1,500 monthly retainer plus 10% sales commissions. Now, isn't that awesome? For someone who has no experience, okay, no portfolio, and no knowledge at all of the service, okay, he was able to do this much. Now, fast forward to today, and he's now able to enjoy 4,500 to 9,500 months by working only 2 hours a day. Now, the question is that okay? Okay ba yun? Closing clients without any experience? Now, the short answer is yes. Okay, but yes, but you have to be honest. Ulitin ko lang. Yes, but you have to be honest. When Michael got this client, he was honest about his level of experience. He didn't lie. He was honest about where he is in his journey, okay? And told that to the client. Walang pagtatago na naganap. Okay? Kumbaga, when I'm telling you this because his honesty about where he is, okay, about his skill, about his experience, it removed the pressure to perform. You see, one of the biggest things that cripples most freelancers na nagsisimula is the fear of messing up. Like, what if I fail? What if I can't deliver? What if I don't meet the expectations? But here's the truth. It's not really the failure that breaks you. It's the pretending. And what happens if we get caught pretending? It's the pressure of trying to look like you have it all figured out. That's why honesty is such a powerful antidote. I'm telling you right now, when you're honest about where you are, when you tell the client, I haven't done this before, but I believe I can help and I ask when I need to. What you're doing is you're lowering the expectations, you're removing the guesswork, and most importantly, you're making space for trust. Because now, even if you don't get it right for the first time, right, the client won't be angry. The client isn't blindsided. They're more understanding. They're more forgiving. Why? Because you were upfront from the very start about your experience. Okay? And when I say upfront, I'm talking about this kind of upfront. Sabi niya, all throughout sa call, naging honest ako. Pero deep inside, nalulungkot ako kada ang sagot ko no. Especially dun sa experience. Kasi in-overthink ko, baka disadvantage ko yon. But no. Okay? As long as you're brutally honest talaga, okay? Diba sabi niya dito, ang nakapagpanalo sa akin ay ang pen and paper. Sabi ni prospect, nagustuhan niya daw yun, yung ginagawa ko yun, that it shows na I'm serious and hungry to learn. Okay? Now, let me tell you this. She's a newbie, no experience, no portfolio, no credentials, no skills. But she got hired for doing Facebook ads, one of the most technical skills out there. Because here's the thing. Ironically, this kind of honesty is what makes clients trust you even more. Okay? This kind of honesty is what makes clients trust you even more. It tells them, okay? It tells them that you're not here to fake it. You're here to figure it out with them. And that kind of energy, that's rare. That's respected. And that's how you start building long-term client relationships even before you feel you're ready. So if fear is what's been holding you back in starting freelancing, try honesty. Try this. Okay? Try honesty. It doesn't just remove the fear of failing, it also invites clients to grow with you. In fact, clients respect honesty more than a flashy portfolio. Because at the end of the day, they're not hiring a robot, right? They're hiring a real human who gives a shit about their business. That's that's what they're hiring. Okay. Anyway, that's option number 2, learning by doing. Okay. So you lead with honesty, learn by doing, solve as you go. Now, For some people naman are gonna ask, okay, John, paano kung di ko magawa yung mga dapat gawin? Okay. Now there's a third option. Okay. The third option, the third option is to outsource or delegate your work. Okay. Outsource and delegate your work to people who actually can. Now take Christy for example. Okay. Sabi niya dito, I already got 6 clients in line for something I'm not even good at just by doing what you said to do from your previous emails. I have advised these clients, again, honest siya, na I'm sending them these people for their business needs and they're all fine with it. Okay? Yung iba kasi nag-hire ng ibang tao, okay, pero hindi sila honest. Okay? If you're gonna be outsourcing or delegating, you have to be honest with your clients. Okay? Sabi niya, thanks for being a beacon. Every time I read your emails, I always say to myself, bakit kaya di ko naisip yung simpleng concept, ginagawa akong complicated. Yeah. You just need to have, di ba? Sabi ko kanina, you just need to have the intention to help. Because here's what I want you to understand. Having a business doesn't mean you have to be skilled at what you do. Okay? Some restaurant owners, they can't even cook. What's important is that you have the intention to actually help. Ang malungkot, as you saw in today's video, most freelancers, they try to do the opposite. Okay? Instead of trying, having the intention to help, ang ginagawa lang nila, they collect as many skills available without knowing how to solve problems. They feel that they become more valuable the more skilled they become without even knowing ano mga problema ng mga clients na gusto kong tulungan. And sometimes, problems are solved by not doing the work, but by finding the right people for the job. And as you become a freelancer of a higher caliber, you're gonna notice this. Hindi lahat kaya mong isolve. Okay? Sometimes it can be solved by finding the right people for the job. So, say you're great at closing deals, di ba? Diyan ka magaling. Or you're great at understanding clients. But you're not so great at design, tech, or the writing, or yung mga service na mismo. If you've got the client getting skill, you can always partner with someone who can do the fulfillment. Wala namang nagsabing bawal makipag-partner. Okay? If doon ka magaling sa pagkuha ng client, then you can always partner with someone who can do the actual fulfillment. So this is basically where you stop being just a freelancer and start thinking like a business owner. You become the strategist, the one who connects the dots, the one who owns the relationship and the result. And guess what? It works. We've seen tribe members close 6-figure clients, okay, retainers, while delegating 100% of the work. We've seen that happen. It's doable. Okay. But let me warn you. Okay. Let me warn you. Because if you're just starting out, I'd still recommend doing option 2, learning by doing. Okay. Instead of going to number 3 right away. Why? Because outsourcing requires these things. Number 1, you need clear instructions. Okay. If you're going to outsource, you need the ability to evaluate good work. And number 3, you need the maturity to lead without micromanaging. Ang problema, these things, they only come with experience. So again, I'm not saying that you should not skip to number 3. Well, basically, I'm just encouraging you that if you haven't had any experience yet, you might want to try, you know, not delegating and outsourcing it and instead doing it yourself. If you're new, try not to skip the reps. Start with learning just enough to help, get your hands dirty, understand what good works look like. Then later on, when you're ready, now you'd know exactly who to delegate to, what to delegate, and how to manage, how to manage them without drowning. That's how you grow. But it starts with the belief that you don't have to be, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to get started. Okay? Now, if you're watching this and ito yung nasa isip mo, kanina pang nasa isip mo, John, saan ako kukuha ng client? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in the next video. In fact, in the next video, I'm going to show you an actual live demonstration of me personally connecting and finding clients. I'll try to find, a live demos of me, like, I think meron akong dalawa, of me basically personally connecting and finding clients. And part 2 of this lesson, of this 3-part series, drops on July 11th at 6 p.m. So I would suggest do watch your inbox for that, right? Watch our inbox. Do not miss it. We're going to be sending the link through your email again. Now, that being said, in this video, we've already busted some freelancing myths and discovered a shortcut to getting paid your desired rates without being the best at what you do. That to have a, we also talked about, that to have a thriving freelancing business, you don't need to be a business graduate or a marketing wizard or a great salesman, that you also don't need to have decades of experience or credentials to be successful, that you don't have, to have a portfolio of clients, diba? And all of which, okay, all of which should be incredibly exciting for you kung nakikinig ka dito because nung nalaman ko, kung nalaman ko na hindi ko naman pala kailangan itong mga bagay na to, I really got excited. Kasi it removed a ton of things I thought I needed to do to become good at freelancing. The best part about this is none of this is theoretical. Diba? Napansin niyo naman, every time I'm gonna say something, I'm proving it with results from our members. So if you're the type of, if you're the type of person who loves to see examples, then yeah, you're gonna be loving this, this three-part series. There's gonna be a lot of those in the second lesson and the third lesson as well. Okay, examples of real freelancers applying the methods that I'm teaching you and getting results. But for now, my question for you is this. In this lesson, okay, what's your single biggest takeaway? Ano yung pinaka biggest lesson na nakuha mo from this video alone? And based on what we've covered so far, what are you most excited about? Okay, whatever your answer is, leave it in the comment below and let me know. Okay, let me and the team know. Okay, natutuwa kami when we see comments and feed and and yung mga learnings nyo sa totoo lang, doon kami ginaganahan. And another thing, if you can think of someone else in your life who would benefit from this lesson, I would love for you to share this with them. Okay. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. I'll see you in the next lesson.